Most video games are engineered around a very basic psychological promise. If you invest your time, the game will reward you. You gain experience points, you unlock better gear, you climb a ladder, or complete a storyline. The game respects your time. Now, Rust doesn't just disrespect your time, it actively weaponizes it against you. Imagine taking a second job where you work 10 hours a day, you clock in, you go talk to your coworkers, and then now imagine logging in the next morning for work, and you discover that another person went in, destroyed your sheets, and they said, nah, fuck you. And then they also wrote something on your desktop saying, fuck your mother. Now, that's not a glitch. That's the intended core gameplay loop of Rust. You spawn in completely naked on a beach with nothing but a rock and a torch, and then 8 hours later, after grinding metal, smelting sulfur, building in a multi-layered compound, you log off to sleep. And then 12 hours after that, you're back on at that exact same beach, naked with a rock and a torch. Now, other competitive games test your aim, or your movement, or your reaction speed. Rust tests your psychological tolerance for suffering. And yet, millions of players voluntarily subject themselves to this digital panopticon every single week. Now, to understand why, we have to look past the graphics and dive into the terrifying social psychology embedded in its code. In 1950, mathematicians at the Rand Corporation formalized a classic problem in game theory known as the prisoner's dilemma. The setup is simple. Two individuals are arrested. If both remain silent, both serve a light sentence. If one betrays the other, the traitor goes free, while the silent partner gets the maximum penalty. Now, if both betray each other, both get heavy sentences. Logically, mutual cooperation produces the best collective outcome, but individual self-interest drives both parties towards betrayal every single time. Rust is quite literally the largest, most uncontrolled prisoner's dilemma simulator ever created. When two fresh spawns meet on a beach, cooperation is objectively the most efficient path. Two players hitting trees, farm twice as fast, they can share a starter base, divide labor, and defend against threats. But Rust deliberately strips away those two things that make human cooperation work in the real world: consequences and accountability. There is no karma system. There are no moral alignment skills. Proximity voice chat exists purely so someone can yell, "I'm friendly," 3 seconds before putting an arrow through your neck. Because the cost of misplaced trust is losing hours of real-life effort, players undergo a rapid psychological adaptation. You don't kill the naked guy because he poses an immediate threat. You kill him because he might become a threat 20 minutes from now. You kill him for his 15 wood and his 3 hemp simply to eliminate a variable. Rust systematically strips away human empathy till kill on sight isn't just a toxic playstyle, it becomes the only mathematically sound survival strategy. To understand why Rust feels so uniquely nerve-wracking, you have to understand a psychological principle called loss aversion. Behavioral economists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky proved that human beings experience the pain of losing something roughly twice as intensely as the pleasure of gaining that exact same thing. Losing $50 hurts way more than spending $50 feels good. In a standard shooter like Call of Duty or Apex Legends, dying carries a negligible cost. You lose a round, you wait 10 seconds, you respawn. The stakes are artificial. In Rust, dying outside your base with an inventory full of sulfur, a high-tier weapon, and the key cards you spent 2 hours acquiring wipes out actual, non-refundable hours of your human life. That massive penalty tricks your primitive brain. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between losing a virtual AK-47 and losing actual winter provisions to a rival tribe. When you hear footsteps outside your airlock, your body responds accordingly. Your heart rate skyrockets, your palms sweat, and your adrenaline floods your bloodstream. You are experiencing a genuine fight-or-flight response while sitting in an ergonomic chair staring at an LED monitor. Now, most games exist inside of a vacuum. When you close the executable, the world pauses. Rust refuses to respect that boundary. The most insidious psychological mechanic in the game is the offline raid, because Servers run continuously. Your base sits completely vulnerable the moment you disconnect. While you're at work, at school, having dinner with your family, or just trying to sleep, your virtual home is sitting on a map surrounded by dozens of people who want everything inside of it. This creates an ambient, real-world anxiety that very few media products have ever achieved. You find yourself checking Rust companion apps at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday because a raid alarm went off. You negotiate real-life sleep schedules with teammates across different time zones just to ensure base coverage. You spend your workday silently calculating how many C4 charges a Zerg clan would need to blow through your honeycomb walls. The game invades your actual life. It weaponizes paranoia to ensure that even when you aren't playing Rust, you're thinking about Rust. So if this game is a toxic, stress-inducing, sleep-depriving nightmare, why do we play it? Why do thousands of people put 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 hours into it? Because of variable ratio reinforcement. VRR. The exact same psychological mechanism that powers slot machines in Las Vegas. If a game gives you a reward every single time you perform an action, your brain quickly becomes desensitized. But if the reward is completely unpredictable, if you lose 90% of the time, but that 10% win is life-changing, your brain floods with dopamine. In Rust, this is known as the Snowball. You craft a primitive double-barrel shotgun for 200 wood and 100 metal fragments. You hide in a bush outside of a monument for 20 minutes. A fully geared player walks past, wearing endgame armor and carrying 3 days' worth of high-tier loot. You step out, pull the trigger twice, and bam. In 2 seconds, you went from homeless to rich. You didn't just win a fight, you stole someone else's time. You absorbed their effort. That sudden, violent swing from absolute rock bottom to peak power produces a neurochemical rush that almost no other video game on Earth can replicate. At its core, Rust really isn't a survival game about eating berries and chopping down trees. It's a raw, unfiltered social experiment that tests what human beings do when you strip away authority, laws, and societal norms. It shows us that under the right conditions, paranoia is rational, cruelty is efficient, and trust, it's a vulnerability. It forces us to confront the fact that, given total freedom and zero consequences, most people won't build a society. They'll build a fortress, and they'll shoot anyone who comes near it. It's exhausting, toxic, unfair, and completely unforgiving. And yet, when the server wipes next Thursday, we all know who's going to log right back in and do it all over again. If you made it this far into the video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps out tremendously with the algorithm. Let me know down in the comments what's the absolute worst betrayal or offline raid you've ever experienced in Rust. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.